show people how to use Earnest. All right, no further ado, I am going to set this up. I am working from my tablet. I do not have the app on this tablet. I'm going to open an account for my broker here in Ann Arbor, Jet, and show you guys how to go through that process. And at the end of this, I will answer questions. I will also show you how to use the app appropriately. A lot of questions can be answered inside the app. There are materials in the app that you can download and send to your buyers, use for resource material, that kind of stuff. So we're going to jump into this. Here we go. All right. All right, so if you are an Android user like I am, you are going to go to your Google Play Store to download this this app. If you are an Apple user, you're going to go to your Apple Store to find it. So I'm going to enter my Play Store. I'm going to type in the Earnest app. It is this green feather up at the top. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to install it. Hopefully this does not take too long. Cool, it did not. So I'm going to open her up. Here we go. So here is the first process. Simple sign in. Or sorry, we're not signing in. Creating an account. New to Earnest. We'll guide you through the account setup. I'm going to type on this. So Chet's email is chethill@aol.com. Continue. Chet just received a code. I'm going to grab that from him real fast. So you'll get a email verification code on your email, and that will, connect your account. Chet, you should have gotten an email verification from Earnest.
Yeah. Earnest, one-time code you requested, yes.
So what's that code?
Code is 224.
2247
05.
05. That's it?
That's it.
Okay, cool. Continue. All right. Chet, what's your phone number real fast? 734 644 0523. Thank you. Chester Hill. Create. All right, we have a few things to check and then we'll be all set to make your first request. I'm ready. We're not going to use, well, whatever. Cancel. I'm going to skip this for a moment. Up at the top is skip for now. Is your escrow account holder available? They are. I know that it's Remax Platinum, so let's check. Search for escrow holder. We're going to drop it into Michigan. Here we go. I'm just going to do, I think the slash is in here as well. Max Platinum. I think it's because I got it this way. I'm going to switch this up.
So Rob, are we paying attention to caps and lowercase? Is it exactly that way that we have to sign in?
I believe you do need to have it as capitalized. So one moment. Hold on.
It's all caps. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to, it's not allowing me to select the state. Here we go. Michigan. So this is a big part of this. Remax Platinum is obviously in here. Depending on the office you're in, this does all go to the same escrow account, but for record keeping, make sure that you pick the office that you work out of. So I'm going to pick Remax Platinum Ann Arbor. Okay, guys, and that is how simple it is to set up your account. We are all set setting up the account. If you want to now make a request for payments, you're just going to click the big green button and begin. So what I'm not going to go through this process because I don't have anybody to send a payment to, but in this drop-down menu over here, there is support. So agent education. And again, let me show you what that drop-down menu is. It's right up here, these three little bars. We can jump into agent education down here. And this pretty much walks you through how to do the process. How it's going to work is you're going to put in an address and you're going to put in an email address for your buyer. And you're also going to put in the amount. And it is going to be sent out to them as an email. They do not need to download the app. They will get an email and then they will go through a two-step verification to confirm who they are, kind of similar to how we just did Earnest. They'll do a verification of email, and then simply put, they can then quickly and easily pay those funds through their email address. It's pretty simple, guys. There's not much to it. Earnest costs $18. It's free to the real estate agents. It is a convenience fee for the buyer, 18 bucks. We all know that wires are $30. You know, going to get a check from your bank, a cashier's check can be upwards of $7. So there is a convenience to this. Obviously, we're still collecting EMDs the old-fashioned way, but this gives you an opportunity to collect EMDs electronically. So honestly, moving backwards from this, going into buyer education, there are things in here that can help you. So I want to find it real quick. It is down here. There is a guide. Yep. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. All of this is inside the app. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And so once they've processed their payment, right, you're going to receive two receipts. You'll receive a receipt. Your escrow account holder will receive a receipt, and so will your buyer. The first one's going to be this payment authorization. This is that we got to get it done right away. I believe it's within 48 hours. Should do it as quickly as possible. This keeps us compliant. That first payment authorization coming in inside that window. Once the money's actually hit the account, you'll get a second receipt. It will be the deposit receipt. Again, this is just confirmation, letting you know that, like, hey, we actually are holding the money. These receipts can be used for sending it out to the lender and saying,
No, I'm sorry, Rob, let me interrupt.
go
The
for it.
deposit receipt is the only thing that should be used. That's the final. That means we have the money. We should never send the payment authorization as proof of funds.
Okay, cool. What about if they ask for proof of funds within that first 48 hours, though? Or is there anything we should be using for that?
No. We can
No,
say
so-
that they've authorized it.
Okay,
Now, what I have found with the few times that we have used this, it is very quick. It's typically same day. One time it was somebody sent money at like 4:30 p.m. and it was the next banking day that our bank received it. So it's very
cool. Excellent.
quick, but might not always be. It depends on what banks we're working with. So
Okay.
the deposit
So-
receipt means we have the money.
Okay, so Candace wants us using the deposit receipt as proof of funds, not the payment authorization. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of this was, again, they do not need to download the app. We will be using these receipts. And then there was one other piece that I wanted to explain. Well, let me just jump into some questions and we'll get there. So at this point, does anybody have questions? I'm going to close out of this. And
You
just jump back into
answered-
our.
You just answered one of the questions because I wanted to make sure that buyers didn't have to download the app. So they don't, right?
They do not need to download the app, no.
Okay.
It's a very simple process, everybody. It is not difficult at all. And obviously, if you need some help setting up the accounts, I can absolutely help you set up the accounts.
Hey,
Uh,
Rob,
yeah,
this is Melissa. Initially, when I heard you say it's just gonna come to their email as a payment link, with all the scam stuff out there, how do they know that that email link that they are getting is for certain this Earnest?
just like with a wire, I would recommend that you're in personal communication with everybody. So if you're sending that link, that when you actually hit the request button, call them as well, so that they know that it is coming from you. That whole interpersonal connection is going to be the piece of it that makes sure people know that this is secure.
There's
Okay.
also in the areas that you were scrolling through, information about how it prevents wire fraud. But also the email that they get has their name, the property address that it's applicable to, and the earnest money deposit that you're requesting. So it is a very specific email that they're getting that also is a prevention to wire fraud. So, but you should always call them and let them know that it's going to be coming.
All right, thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have much more to explain. I was trying to find it when I was scrolling through that earlier. I did find a proof of like a screenshot of the email the clients receive. That's in there somewhere. If you want to kind of get to know what the buyer facing experience is going to be, it is pretty simple. They receive an email, they verify their email, and then they're going to put in their information through that link, and it's pretty seamless. They do need to put in their checking account information. It is not like a debit card service, so that kind of there's one of the differences there. Does anybody else have any other questions? Candace, do you have anything to add to what we're talking about so far?
No, I think a question people might have is that, we will, as far as we know, we will treat it similar to a wire. Whereas once we have the money, let's say, God forbid, a deal falls and we need to refund the money, we will be refunding it by check because there's paperwork that we need to have in order to do that. We're not going to refund via Earnest. But we don't need to do a 10-day hold like we would with a physical check. So we will be treating them like cashier checks.
Yeah, that was the third piece that I wanted to mention, was that we're not going to be sending returns via Earnest. It is the same process, but it does shorten the process since we were holding the funds and it wasn't a personal check that was written.
Correct.
So I thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, this
So
is great for cash deals.
Absolutely.
it's a great program all the way around. It's just another
Yeah.
tool in the arsenal, guys. I mean, checks are still fine. The way that we've been doing things is absolutely fine, but this allows us to. I have buyers out in New York that buy investment properties, and they hate mailing me checks. So
Yeah.
this is such a much nicer process for us to have.
And I know, I know $18 isn't a huge deal, but to some people it is, and you don't want them to be blindsided by it. So just be proactive and let them know that's part of the process. And, they're always welcome to still write a check. But,
Yeah.
if you tell them, write a check and then there might be a 10-day hold on that, maybe the $18 will seem less offensive.
And again, in the app is resource material that you can send to your buyers so they can kind of understand the process, stuff that you can download for yourself, so that you can understand it a little bit better. It's all inside that app. They made such a great product here, simple to use. I'm excited to be able to give this out to my own customers.
I'm good. Thank you so much, Rob and Candace.
I'm always available for questions too, if Rob's not, so.
Yep, and Jordan is also learning this app as well. So if anybody has questions, you can reach out to me, Candace, Jordan. And there's going to be another class. So tell your colleagues that there's going to be another class Wednesday at noon that Jordan is hosting. But again, if anybody else wants it, they can just meet up with me, him, and we'll get them the application.
I do have one more thing to add too, that the deposit receipt, the date that appears on that, when we physically have the money, is when we will post it to your transaction in our back office program. So that will be the date that will say we have the money, even though they initiated it maybe the day before. the date on the file will be the date that we receive it.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being on the call because I didn't know about the authorization receipt not being used. So that's something that I'll kind of add, and if one of us could let Jordan know so that he's not doing it the wrong way either.
Yeah, the authorization is just, it's saying that they have authorized it,
So,
and it's also showing the fee that they're being charged.
Was
so
there another
not that I
question?
deal with this. Yeah, and so not that I deal with this, but so, the law about 2 days deposited kind of thing. So, how does that play out if, it's initiated, but it doesn't show up for
Right,
however many days, depending on the bank? How does that work on your end?
good
I'm
question.
curious.
So the payment authorization shows the date that they initiate it. And that deposit receipt
Mhm.
will also show the date that they initiated it as well as the date received. So the deposit receipt is what's going to go in our file. And Bill Russell is confident that the state of Michigan is accepting of, we're compliant because the customer initiated it
Okay,
within the 24 hours
okay,
or
Candace,
within the 48 hours.
48 hours, yeah. Mhm.
Candace, isn't it kind of similar to how a check works? Just because we were written a check and deposited, we don't actually have those funds. It hasn't cleared yet.
No, actually, the date that we deposit a check is the date that, so think of it as the date that we deposit the check is the date that shows up on our bank statement.
Okay,
That is the date that it went in. With Earnest, the date that is going to appear on our bank statement is the date that appears on the deposit receipt, not the deposit authorization slip.
okay.
So
But you,
there's
but
always the possibility that a check could be returned,
Mhm.
but the date that is recognized as a deposit date for a check is the date we take it to the bank.
Okay,
So,
great.
I do
Well,
have one last question and then I'll shut up.
over, Charlie.
So as I set up my account, it said the app works better if you put on your location. So I said yes, and it put on the location automatically for me. Does that mean each time we use the app, should we also hit that location button?
It should, so the way the apps work like that, giving it permission to check your location is just a security feature, but it should be a one-time security feature.
Okay,
Obviously, like if the app knows that you're requesting funds every time and you're in Michigan, and then all of a sudden this might become an issue. This is actually a good question. With the GPS location on, and you're now all of a sudden in Florida because you're on vacation, the app
Mhm.
might not work because it's probably acting as a security feature to make sure that somebody's not in your account doing something inappropriate. So we might have to keep our eyes open for that one where somebody's on vacation requesting an EMD and then the app's kind of like, wait a minute, you're normally in Michigan, now you're in Florida requesting $5,000 from somebody. So yeah, Candace, let's just kind of keep an eye out to see what that does to people. Is there any other questions?
Nope. This seems pretty easy. I feel like even I can do it. So,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, well, and Jerry, if there's any issues, I'm right down the hall, so we can figure it out.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Take care.
done. All right, guys, have a good day.
Bye.
thanks, everybody.